at my notes. Kyla, you wanna take it away?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to October 22nd, All Community Council Town Hall. I'll go ahead and open it up for public comment on items not on today's agenda. You'll have time to comment and do round robin later. Okay, I will go ahead and move on to our first agenda item, and I will pass it off for the community survey to Alicia.
Actually, real quick, I do have one public comment.
Sure.
Kyla Leonards is Employee of the Year. Just want everyone to know. Thank you so much and congratulations, Kyla.
Way to go, Kyla.
Thank you.
Congrats, Kyla.
We just found out like 2 hours ago, so very exciting. Sorry, Kyla, go ahead, Alicia.
Yes, hi. So I'm Alicia. I'm the Access and Engagement Coordinator for Missoula County, and we're working on a survey that I was gonna have. Let's see here. We have an intern, Ava, who is also working on this, and I'm not sure if I'm seeing her on the screen here. Oh, okay, good.
Somewhere.
Sorry.
No.
Somewhere. So I'll let Ava talk about this, the survey that we're doing, and then we can answer any questions that you have. And I'll also put some links in the chat while she's sharing this information.
Yeah, totally. Thank you for the intro, Alicia, and thank you all for having me. My name is Ava Warwitz. I'm an intern in the risk and benefits, helping Alicia specifically. I've been able to design 2 surveys. And I just wanted to start by thanking all of you who have already taken the advisory board survey. We really appreciate the time and thought that you put into your responses. It really is remarkable, and we're very grateful. Just a quick reminder, the survey will be closing this Friday, so if you haven't had a chance yet to fill it out, we would love to hear from you, and there's still a little bit of time. They were both sent in an email from Maddie. Additionally, though, very exciting, we're launching a community version of the survey, so there's 2 opportunities with that survey to win a $50 gift card. But we really want to hear from residents and the local communities about how to make engagement and outreach easier, and what might help them get involved more with advisory boards, general. If you'd be open to sharing that with your community at all, we'd really appreciate it. Or if you have any ideas about how the best ways to reach out to folks, like community events we might not have heard of, newsletters, or other groups, we'd really value your input. If anyone has any questions, but thank you again for the responses so far on the other survey as well.
Anything else to add?
Alicia, anything else that I didn't touch on, I guess?
Nope. So just, I guess the first link that you all see in the chat is the one that is for board members, but also any of you who serve on committees or councils. Obviously, this is an all council meeting, so I'm assuming that that's what you're here for. So please feel free to fill that out for you as a member of one of those boards. And then here in just a second, I'll also add in the link that we're asking that you share with your networks. And I'll clearly label that as please share with your networks. And yeah, also just want to reiterate the appreciation for those of you that have filled it out. It's been super helpful to see that. And we have gotten a great response rate, like 100 or more responses is pretty amazing on this. So we definitely appreciate that. And we'll definitely use this information that we're getting to see how we can improve these, these boards. And then also from the community, how we will be able to reach more people to potentially serve on these boards. And maybe overcome any barriers that might exist that keep people from participating. So, and then if you do have any other questions that come up after the fact, I'll include my email address in the chat as well, so you can reach out to us directly if that is useful.
Alicia, maybe you said this and I just missed it, but when does this close, or when's the survey?
Oh, great question. Yeah, so the survey for the board members I believe we'll wrap that one up on Friday. It's already been open longer than we kind of anticipated, but we'll close that one on Friday. That one also has a chance to win a $50 gift card. And then the community survey, it opened on October 14th and we'll plan to close it on November 14th. And there's 2 chances to win a $50 gift card with that one.
Awesome. Thanks. Okay. There's nothing else with community survey. I guess what's planning board update with Karen.
Hi, everyone. I'm Karen Hughes with Planning Development and Sustainability, and I'm just going to warn you that my internet seems a little glitchy, so if I get bumped off, I'll try and hop back on and probably won't have my camera on, but we'll give it a go. So the Missoula Consolidated Planning Board has been in place for many years. It's a joint board between the city and the county. The city, as people may have heard, is undergoing some changes to their land use planning. They are going to shift as they move through the adoption process to a municipal planning commission, which means that the consolidated city-county planning board is going to split. The county has been looking at our options. We still need a planning board function, obviously. After looking at our options, we are proposing to consolidate our land use review boards into one board. So we're going to do a combined board that is called the Missoula Consolidated Land Use Board, and it will combine the functions of a planning board, a zoning commission, and a board of adjustment into one board. This will be a 7-member board with 2 alternates. All members will be required to be county residents and will be appointed by the county commissioners and who live in the unincorporated area of the county. We're looking at the possibility of having appointments that would be confirmed by the commissioners from the Conservation District, which is currently on the plan, but then possibly also one from the Confederated Salish and Kootenai Tribal Council.
Oops. I lost Karen on my end, but I don't know.
I think we did lose her.
I have a question while she reloads. Is this a position that community councils could be also involved with, or a member of, such as myself, could be part of?
I mean, anybody can apply
Okay, thank
as
you.
long as you live outside of the city limits and inside the county boundary.
And I'm on a community council and I'm in it.
All right, I'm back. Sorry. I told you that was going to happen.
All good.
All right, so 7-member board, 2 alternates. Rick, heard you chiming in. The goal will be to have members similar to our current membership, who represent geographic locations throughout the county and have backgrounds in one or more of common things like natural, historic, cultural resources, agriculture, housing, land use, real estate, land use law, architecture and design, but will be fairly open. We intend to start with seeking membership from the existing boards who meet those who are interested and meet the residency requirements from the existing Consolidated Planning Board and the Board of Adjustment. But I'm fairly certain there's going to be some open positions. The county hasn't created this board yet, and so there's a plan to present to the commissioners a resolution to create this board, and there's opportunities to provide feedback on the number of members, the roles, whether we should consolidate the board or keep boards separate, what kind of background and expertise people should have. And so we're accepting comment on that through the Missoula County Voice page. The commissioners we are planning a public meeting consideration on November 6th, and information about that is in the Missoula County Voice page as well. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. That's the basics of what I wanted to bring to your attention. We'll also be sending out an email blast that will include all the community council members so that you have a written communication about this proposal that you can then go to the links and talk, if you want to talk about it at a community council meeting.
Thanks. It looks like Rick has his hand up.
I just wanted to add, I think we all got notification that the Zoning Board of Adjustment has openings. And if you're interested, that's a good place to get started. It's in existence right now, but I assume it's still got openings.
And Kelly?
Yeah, thanks. I was a member of the Consolidated City Planning Board for 3 years during the 2011 era. I don't remember my start and finish years. But one thing I'll share with you guys, first, I think this is beautiful. I like it a lot, so I'll make sure to comment. I think this will be nice. And the second thing I would say is it was kind of neat. I was appointed by Mayor Engen, and I didn't actually have what would have, I feel like, been appropriate qualifications like city planning and just all like roads and wildlife movement. But I will say one of the things I appreciated about John was he kind of had a knack for creating boards and committees that I think were diverse. And so as you all explore that, do watch for people that just have a global perspective. Like I was a small owner, and but I love what you're doing. It's great.
Cool. Yeah, great point, Kelly. Yeah, we want to diversity of geographic places and smaller communities versus more urbanized area and different experiences and backgrounds. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thanks. Do we have, any more comments or questions on this? Okay. Oh, Maddie.
Hi, I just wanted to chime in. Yes, we do have positions on Board of Adjustments, Rick, but currently applications are closed, just getting ready for December boards. So we're not accepting applications at this time for that.
Okay. Thanks for that clarification. Okay, it looks like this is a good segue to community council update with Chris Lounsbury.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. Chris Lounsbury, the Chief Administrative Officer for the county. Wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update on some changes that are potentially coming this way for community councils based on some work that the county has been doing. I'm going to try and change this view so that everybody can see it. Hopefully a little bit bigger on their screen. So the county has been doing kind of a comprehensive look at our various councils and boards across the county, including that survey that you all are participating in that Alicia mentioned earlier that closes on Friday. Greatly appreciate your help with that. One of the things that we're trying to do is come up with some standardized things like bylaws, how we address membership, kind of the administrative pieces of how we make sure we comply with things like open meeting laws and public record laws. And so as we've been doing that and as we've been going through the community survey, we came across a little bit of a challenge with community councils where we realized that the way community councils are currently configured in Missoula County doesn't actually match up with the way the Montana Code annotated says that community councils should match up in a community like Missoula where we are under the elected official form of government. And what it says in state law is that we need to have an ordinance if we're going to have community councils. And right now we don't have an ordinance. Right now, community councils have historically been established by resolution and then have gone through kind of a public process related to those that have involved a community vote, as well as voting on membership of the community council. And that actually does not match up with what the Montana Code Annotated says we should be doing as a local government. So we've been looking at what would it look like to create an ordinance for Missoula County. And so our first kind of step into that direction is to talk to you all about that a little bit tonight and about some of the things that might be in an ordinance, and ask you to take that back to your community councils and give us some feedback. And so here's kind of a brief outline kind of the process for it right now. So the ordinance kind of establishes the framework or the kind of boundaries for community councils. Our goal is to try and do that in January of 2026. And the main reason for that is because special district candidate filing opens shortly after that. And that has been one of those challenges that we've heard from boards kind of pretty consistently, is trying to get folks to run for office is a challenge. It's one of the things that our Lands and Communities folks in Kyla, and then also Maddie in the commissioner's office, kind of struggle with community councils, as kind of all those notifications that happen. And then each community council would still have a resolution that kind of sets that forum up for the community. They would just kind of fall under this ordinance now, instead of kind of as separate resolutions. And then we've already been doing some work on the bylaws, and we need to do a little bit more work on that to have them reflect what was now in the ordinance. So a few of the proposed changes that we're considering in the ordinance, and after this meeting, we'll send out the draft ordinance so that you'll have that for your community council meetings, so that you guys can discuss that. One of the ideas that we're contemplating is uniformity in the amount of members, and looking at a 7-member board. Right now we have some variance in how that is. And so some boards have fewer members, but then they have alternate seats. Some boards have 7 members and don't have alternate seats. So we'd like to create some uniformity there, just to make it consistent across the community councils. One of the pieces about establishment by ordinance is it would remove the requirement for community board members to run for election. They'd actually be appointed through the Board of County Commissioners, which when we looked back over the last 10 years of elections history, only 18 community council election, or sorry, of the elections that occur every year in those 10 years, 18 community council elections were canceled because no one had filed to run for office. And so the commissioners did the full appointment process for those seats, and only 6 actually had an election where they had more than 1 member on the ballot. And this would also eliminate some burden on our elections office folks as well, who kind of have to track all of those right now. Hopefully would make it a little bit easier also for folks to engage in the community without having to go through that burden of having to go through the elections office to file to run. The last piece kind of here that I'll touch on for you guys is we would update the kind of inactivity piece, which we already did a little bit in our bylaws over this last thing, but the idea here would be basically, and we've only had this happen with one community council, where if they can't meet for a period of 6 consecutive months, then the Board of County Commissioners could consider potentially dissolving that community council for that. And then on the funding front and the finance thing, the county's been moving to a new finance system, which will allow us to help community councils hopefully eliminate some of that burden that you guys face by having the county assist with things like the kind of community hall rentals and those kinds of things, by just automatically setting those up and invoicing those to the county, so we could just get those paid out directly without community councils necessarily having to go through all of those administrative burdens, and hopefully take a little bit of that kind of off of all of your plates as folks who volunteer to work on these boards. So those are kind of the big changes that I would say. There's a few other minor changes in the ordinance, and like I said, we'll send that out after this so you can take that back. But what we're asking you to do is basically look through that draft ordinance. We definitely want to hear your feedback. The goal here is to, again, provide some consistency, but also to make it a little bit easier on community council members as well as the community councils themselves in those processes. We'd like you to, have that discussion and then provide feedback to us, and you can send that feedback. I'll make sure when that email goes out that it's got my contact information on there. You can send that directly to me. We'll take that feedback from you all, work on the ordinance some more, and then send out one final opportunity for folks to look at that before it goes to a public meeting with the Board of County Commissioners in January. And so with that, I will stop talking so we can answer some questions, and I will stop sharing here as well, just so folks can be seen on the screen.
Thanks. Looks like Kelly has her hand up.
First question, I understand that it has to be done because the way it currently stands, it's not in compliance with the law. But is there any, just out of curiosity, is there any significant difference between it being an ordinance and a, whatever it was before, or what it is? Like, is there a big, is it just lining legally?
Great question. There's not a huge difference in state law between ordinances and resolutions. The biggest challenge is the section of law right now that the resolutions all reference require that positions be elected, and it's always created some contention in the various community councils between election and appointed. The section of law that is referencing is not the correct section of law. The section that's by ordinance basically makes it an advisory board through appointment. And that's the biggest difference, I would say, in the resolutions that we currently have versus the section we should be using, which is the ordinance section.
So that segues nicely into my second question. I don't think you guys are at all, I think it's brilliant when you have not a great turnout to maybe go to appointment. I do remember when I was considering trying to get into a position prior to running, Josh actually said, we would rather not appoint. Is there, in the new way of doing it, let's say boards start to have more participation, things get better in the future, could it be altered in a way to support elections? Not that I truly am, I could go either way. But the way
That's a great question. It is what I'll say is atypical when you look at the way the framework is structured for advisory boards in the authorities for commission. There really isn't an election process that's outlined for them in our form of government. We're the elected official form of government. And there really isn't an election process for advisory boards in that. I will never say never because the law is always changing. We have the legislature every 2 years, so I won't ever say never. I don't see a way under the current statute in our conversations with county attorneys and that for it to be structured that way, but never say never.
Again, and I'm in support either way. I was willing to do it by appointment and that wasn't an option, so I ran. So I'm truly cool with both.
Appreciate that.
My third thought, and this is the last one, when it comes to the financial piece, which perhaps you can also touch on, and this is a random tied into what you're saying. Initially, there was like, oh, every year the board can apply, the West Valley Community Council can apply for $1,000 to do X, Y, and Z. I need clarification on that, A, and then B, if the county were to take on the responsibility of paying for venue and paying for, let's say, a PO box and paying for the bank statement, and I'm making stuff up. If they were to bring that in-house at your office, does that impact the amount of money that a community council can get? Does that amount of money still exist? And those are all just super, let's see if you can wrap that up.
No, great questions. The intent is to continue with the $1,000 that's assigned to each community council each year for them to be able to use for the good work that's done out in the community. The idea would just be to kind of eliminate that administrative burden and make sure that we have the kind of public records piece that we have to have when we're expending taxpayer funds, which has always just been a little bit of a challenge. That's the kind of main reason for tidying that up a little bit, but it would not change the amount of funding that's available for community councils.
So I just hear you saying you're kind of cleaning it up on a legal front.
We are, and then, like I said, we're trying to also manage with this new financial system, making sure that we have kind of everything in-house for when folks, because we do get, a couple of our comms folks are on tonight who deal with our public information requests, and we get quite a few of them around the financial side of the county, as one can imagine. So, and then it looks like maybe Jane, you had some questions.
I have one question. If a community council cannot find 7 people to be a member, does that mean that the community council won't exist anymore?
It does not. So as long as there's an amount to have a quorum, which in that case would be 4, then the community council would still be meeting its obligations. So that wouldn't change. And the other piece of that part is we would make sure, you know, as we do now, Maddie and Kyla work really hard to make sure that we try and find members. And so we would continue that process too. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Hi, Rick.
Hi, Chris. Yeah, I think it's great that it's going to appointed. I mean, I've been on council for over 4 years and nobody ever runs. And I end up getting appointed anyway. And I got the question answered about our budgets already. You know, where we're at is kind of unique, and I think we've been pretty great at getting representation in the Bonner Milltown area, both West Riverside, Milltown, Bonner, and Piltsville. And I would just encourage that you have geographic representation when you have appointments, you know, under the system. But I think it's a great idea. We've already experienced the change in the financial system with our Zoom bill. Our Zoom bill now goes to the county. So I'm thrilled that we don't have to pay our own bills. That's perfect. So.
Glad we're able to help out at least so far on some of that. So hopefully as we get more sophisticated with the more sophisticated finance system, it has been a huge learning curve for everybody. But as we get better at it too, we'll be more confident in it as well. And I shouldn't speak for Kyla and Maddie. Those guys do way more bill paying than I do. So in the system.
I don't see anyone else, but I'm on my phone, as you can tell.
I don't either, Juanita, but Kyla might have some things to add too, because she's been, as she always is, the backbone of community council. She's been doing the yeoman's work on this as well. So
I don't have anything to add. I think you covered it well, Chris. Open to any other comments or questions right now. I don't see anybody, but feel free to raise your hand if you have something to share or ask.
thanks everybody for your time. And Kyla, I know we'll send this out with the follow-up email that comes afterwards, and she'll send you a copy of the draft ordinance. Realize it's a draft. We expect comments. We always love comments and feedback. We'll take those into consideration as we make the changes. And then if folks can get those back by the time of our November All Community Council, that would be great. That way I'll have an opportunity in early December to send it to you again, just in case you have any other additional feedback before the January meeting that'll happen probably in the first couple of weeks of January, so we can get it done for the elections office before candidate filing opens.
Great. Thank you. Thanks everyone in advance for your feedback. Okay, looks like we're round robin.
Round robin. Rick, do you want to go ahead and start with Bonner Milltown?
Sure. We got some exciting stuff happening in the Bonner Milltown area. First off, we've got a Dollar General store that's nearing completion. So we'll have yet another place to get milk. And it's a nice looking facility. We've also got an expanding mini storage also on Riverside. They've started to break ground on that. We've been working with Gregory Morse on the project that used to be called the West Bonner Log Yard. He is making an effort to change it from industrial to housing. Part of that is being able to use the TED or the TIF for a small scale wastewater treatment plant, because otherwise it would never support the density that he's proposing. So we're kind of juggling around his proposal so far. I think we've decided as a council, we were asked to endorse it. We didn't do that. We're unwilling to endorse it till we have a better idea of what the individual parcels are going to contain and what density they're going to have. I think the general feeling is, while we support housing, we want affordable housing. We're not looking for another Aspire subdivision in our area. Sorry, Aspire, but everyone knows what I'm talking about. So luckily we were in great communication with the owner, and I think we're on the same page, and we're continuing to communicate what the community needs are. And the community has already made clear that they want housing, and they want affordable housing. And that is part of our mission statement as a community council. And I think that's about it. I think Jane's on here if she's got anything.
No, I don't. The Blackfoot Crossing is the most important thing that we've been discussing recently. Oh, something is happening over at the Travel Plaza. They're expanding. Nobody seems to know what that is.
I see a lot of
To-
construction material there, but I don't know what's
Yes.
going on.
They've taken all of the siding or whatever the finished materials were off on the east end of the building, and it looks like they're building out that way. Maybe expanding the casino, but nobody seems to know.
Interesting.
Well, I guess they must not need a permit for it because we don't know anything
Okay.
about it.
Karen has her hand raised.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have the details. I can submit a message to Zoner and see what, that's how people usually find out what's going on. See what's in the works. I had heard that they were doing some sort of an expansion, but I don't have the details on hand. But I'm happy to follow up and circle back.
Please let us know, because that would be delightful for us to be able to tell other people. It's kind of hard to say, well, I go to the meetings and I still don't know what's going on.
Well, so for building permits and zoning compliance permits, those go through a ministerial review. They don't go through a public review process. So we certainly, when people contact us to ask what, if there's a permit in the works, we're happy to provide you information, but this is a case where there wasn't a public review process that we would notify folks about.
Thank you.
And I thought there was someone else with a hand raised, but I can't find them. And Kyla, you might be able to find them.
Yeah, it looks like Stephanie has her hand raised.
Okay.
Hey, so I will defer to Karen's expertise when she finds out for real, but I know a couple of people that work over there. It sounds like it is a casino expansion, and then the current casino was gonna turn into a kitchen.
Thanks, Stephanie. If that's all for Bonner, we'll go ahead and move on to Clinton. Looks like we had Bonnie and Frankie on.
Hi, I'm supposed to give you guys the update. First of all, I want to say, people over in Bonner, how come you didn't tell anybody that there's this new store there called Posh Chocolate? Gosh. Can we talk here? Okay, let's get off that topic. I'm going to tell you what's going on.
Way good.
I know, I haven't been in there yet, but every time I go down there, I'm like, dang, I need to stop in there. I have those days of the month sometimes. All right, we started last night with our chair, Chris, sharing with the people that attended the purpose of the council meetings. They last month, they seemed to be under the impression that we did other things than what we're supposed to do. So we clarified through our bylaws exactly what our purpose and our duties are, so that they would be clear as to why we have council meetings and what we do with the information that we gain through talking with the community. Our speaker last night was Jason Mitchell, who works at the Public Works regarding roads, bridges, and trails, transportation, roads, and stuff like that. He started off sharing with us his work history, and then what brought him to working at Missoula County Public Works. He's only been there approximately 6 months, so he's a newbie. We learned about the budget and the revenue for roads, bridges, and trails in Missoula County and the cost for improving infrastructure. He reported that there are over 450 miles of roads and 125 bridges that require upkeep all the time. And a lot of attendees asked Jason questions about the budget and about the new mill levy that is about to be voted on. So he tried to do his best to help everyone understand exactly what's involved with the revenues and what this levy will do. And finally, a fun fact that we learned, that we were surprised to learn, that Missoula County covered 2,600 square miles, which is about the size of Delaware. So we thought, wow, we didn't realize we were that big. The next person we had speak was Chelsea Walmsley. She reported on the events that are occurring through the PSTA. There is a carnival that is going to be taking place at the school this weekend. She shared also with us that next month is the book Scholastic Fair, and that volunteers are always welcome to come and help out. Next month, we're going to have Sarah
Heineman.
I can't. There you go. She's with Missoula County Public Health, and she will speak on immunization services here in Missoula County. That's it. And Frankie, do you have anything that you'd like to add?
Yes, I do actually. Thanks. This is just kind of off the wall, but last night at our meeting and the month before, people mentioned hosting I think they call them town hall for our federal representatives, which seems almost impossible. That is something that our council could do. But anyway, it just seemed like something to bring forward to the county, that people are really wanting to hear from our federal representatives about whatever things that are going on. So just wanted to bring that forward.
Have you contacted any of the field offices?
No. No, it's the first time it was like, oh, that sounds crazy, just because we can hardly even get a handful of people come to our council meeting, and we, it seems like representatives would not come to a meeting with 6 people, or maybe they would, but then it came up again last night. So I don't know, Bonnie, do you have something to say about that?
Well, somebody had mentioned that we would have to do more advertising of somebody more than just guest speakers from Missoula County. So our biggest problem there in Clinton is really getting people. And then because I think a lot of first of all, from what I understood, somebody said that I think it was Chelsea, said that the poverty level in Clinton is like 200% lower than poverty or something like that. So the difficulty will be getting people interested in this, because they already struggle with other things going on in their life. So it's hard to say. There's a lot of people that want us to be there, but I'm not sure where they're getting their information. Maybe they just assume get it from our Facebook page, or going over to the Missoula County spot where we have our information and pulling up our agenda and minutes. That's the only thing I can think of, because to get them to show up, and then, you're dealing with January through May, of snow and rain, and we do have a lot of community members that are older, so getting around is probably not as easy for the older community. So hard to say. Maybe they can do a Zoom or something with us. I don't know. We are virtually connected now, so that's a suggestion. You can't hear me, right? Hello?
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bonnie. Thanks, Frankie. We're just making
I thought
notes,
maybe
kind of.
thought maybe
Thank you.
my microphone quit working.
Yeah. Nope. We heard you.
Yeah.
And we can talk internally about that and see if we can help you out with some contact, at least maybe to reach out to see if that would be of an interest. Okay. East Missoula, Lisa or Stephanie?
Hello. So we had our meeting just last night, and it was by Zoom only. We didn't have the space available because we changed our week that we did our meeting on. We still have one open position for an alternate on our council. We have a new member, Al Williams is our new member. He started in June, and then we didn't meet in July and August. So I guess our big topic last night was the lawsuit with the city and a resident of East Missoula. They gave a presentation to where that is in its processing with the city. And if anybody wants to know anything about that, you could contact Lee Bridges, and her contact is also on the East Missoula United Facebook page. So then the plaintiff has requested a timeline for trial. I guess there's been a lot of back and forth and back and forth. And there is now new city zoning that they would like to, the city would like a stay while they make new zoning rather than the zoning that we have been talking about for the last year and a half. And I think that's the biggest. I did go up to Sealy Lake and meet with two of Ryan Zinke's staffers. One is based out of Bozeman, but they have a new staffer to cover this part of the state, kind of all of Missoula, Ravalli County, I think up to Kalispell. Large space. He's been on board for about 3 months now. I don't know if any of them are available during the shutdown. I have been trying to speak with office people, specifically with Representative Zinke, and I'm getting nowhere. And that's been going on for 2 months. So it's not just the current shutdown. Very unresponsive. But I think if Clinton had a request for a meeting, maybe Clinton, Bonner, and East Missoula could pool together and possibly have a town hall with maybe some staffers and not our representatives themselves might be more possible than actually getting them. I'm assuming they will go back to Washington and they will not be available locally. So that might be another idea that maybe multiple community councils could gather some resources for. So Stephanie, I don't know if you have anything else to add.
No, I'll kind of piggyback off of what you said. Yeah, I've had quite a few people request that we get some of our state representation to come and speak with us about various things, but it does seem that they're relatively unresponsive. But yeah, I think it's a good idea if we kind of pooled it, since it's hard enough for one of us to get it, maybe.
Right. We could pull like an elementary school gymnasium or something for, somewhat larger venue, do something like that. I think that's it from us.
Thanks, Lisa. Thanks, Stephanie. I was just looking, I don't see anyone from Lolo or Sealy Lake on. Kirsten, did you have anything you wanted to share if you're still on for Swan? Looks like she has also maybe left. So we're left with West Valley. Tom or Kelly?
Yeah, we had a meeting Thursday of this month, the second Thursday, and we had a fair turnout. We also had a representative from the state, Mr. Lodge. He usually attends our meetings. He'd just gotten back from back east, but anyway, I've been trying to recruit people to come out. I've had discussions about what we do, what we need, and what is going on. And I guess we kind of ditto what Bonnie out of Clinton is saying. We have a lot of seniors. It's hard to get people out. I talk to a lot of people when we have our seniors luncheon, which is the first and third Wednesday of every month, and I try to recruit those, tell them what's going on in the area, making them aware of what's happening. So, and I always announce when we have our meeting on the first Wednesday of the month to show up the second Thursday. But I don't know. We had a full board with the exception of the chair girl. She was sick, so, but and we do Zoom out our meetings. So, Stephanie, you got anything?
I'm happy to add just a couple thoughts. We are, like Tom said, we're really fortunate, honestly, that we had both our representative, we had Cochran, and we had Logie, our senator. So we're pretty fortunate that our state representatives show up relatively consistently. Honestly, if they're available, they do make it in, and they do drive in from St. Regis, which is pretty cool. So I think that's very impressive and commendable. I personally feel like we're making some nice progress. I think we have lots of room for improvement. It was a little tricky having our chair out sick, and all of us as new committee members, Tom's our only real long-term veteran. And so some of us newbies definitely have to polish up on our Robert's rules, and but that's okay. I literally, Jerry Dellis was there, and she looked a little maybe disappointed. And I said, don't worry, this is only our second meeting. We will figure this out. We will get better. We had a great conversation about our Frenchtown sign, which I have no doubt will find its resolution before it's all said and done. But we're learning a lot about signs, which is great. That sounds like a Missoula thing. I actually remember being on the planning board and having to learn a lot about signs. But in any case, we had a report on the mill. So there is definitely an update for, I'm not going to try to tell you everything that Jerry went over, but they've had some activity. So people do want to pay attention to what's happening at the mill. They are continuing. And of course, with the shutdown, that affects the EPA and the process. But, and Karen, of course, like all you staff people know a heck of a lot more than I do. But if in general, if community council people want to be aware, the CAG is definitely continuing their efforts in it. I think that is also commendable. I finally got a big box of stuff from our outgoing president/treasurer. And so as the treasurer, I've been going through the box and familiarizing myself with what's happened over the last 18 years of West Valley Community Council. So for me, it just feels like a big learning curve, to be very honest with everybody, but you got to start somewhere. So, but we have a good crew, and I think their hearts are in the right place. And I think the last thing I would say is, again, I continue to be impressed with the county, you folks, the staff. You guys are really being, I think, for me personally, I think you are doing an excellent job of over communicating, and it is appreciated. So thank you.
That's about it. Thanks, Kelly.
All right. I think that wraps up our round robin. Anything else for the good of the order tonight?
Nothing from me. Thanks, everyone. Josh, do you have anything?
Nope. I don't know if you can see me. I'm outside, but
I see the mountain.
glad to hear from everybody. Yeah, I'm sitting outside on my back porch.
Nice.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
I guess Steph Lindbergh just texted me that she somehow lost the meeting and can't get back in. So she wanted me to say goodbye and thank you to everyone. So that's from Steph Lindbergh.
Will do.
Okay. Thanks all. Have a great night.
Thank you all.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.